Okay, that's very great. Yeah, so I'm not sure, does anyone use automation as code and push code automations, your job execution through a CI/CD pipeline?
A lot of head shaking no here.
All right, so this presentation is just to talk about it and talk about what you can do and, to try to get you thinking about it. So let's better. And the same idea with adapt, right? You want to be able to adapt those jobs to meet what you need to deliver, whether it's in a report or dashboard or whatever it is, revenue information, inventory. And then the last one is we all try to delight our customers with the continual improvements. So that's the business value of DevOps. The market drivers are almost the same, right? There's that need for continuous and fast delivery, right? So getting the system set up, getting the jobs run, that drives what we're seeing more and more is the need for automation. There's opportunities, right? Whether you're a small business or a large business, having automations generally is a helpful thing, right? So people can work on more important tasks. And I think what we're going to see with the advancement of AI and ML, they can start being leveraged in the DevOps lifecycle. And, we see some of it with maybe it's recommendations on what to test. Maybe it's recommendations on we've seen this job come through before, and these are the things that you need to worry about, or, we're seeing these patterns. Whatever that use of AI or ML is, you can make sure it'll probably pop up in the DevOps lifecycle. And then there's challenges, right? I think CI/CD has it's been around for a long, long time, right? But how many people truly use it even for source code or builds or, I think we've gotten to the point of builds using it, but, how many people have taken it further and done testing or security checking or things like that in their CI/CD pipeline? So those are some of the challenges with DevOps coming up that, really need to be addressed. So the benefits, you have testable software, right? You push it through, you can get it set up on a system, and then you're able to test with it. You can reduce risk. The nice part about having a repeatable process is where it came from. It's usually versioned quite well. You know who did it. And so you're able to reduce the risk of these automations coming through. And then I'm going to keep touching on security just because I have some background with the security because I worked on a change risk model in our AIOps tools, which did early security detection. So, but security scans are more and more important, right? There's so many vulnerabilities out there, all the CVEs that come up constantly, right? Vulnerabilities, you're constantly patching, right, to get around these vulnerabilities. So security scans can help you detect issues earlier too. And then accountability. So who checked in or modified files, right? I think I heard Leon talking about the exit zeros and who did them, right? So you're able to figure out who made changes, which is important because, you might have bad actors, so you'll be able to identify things quickly. And then also, you want to be able to help determine root cause issues through some of the justification capabilities that are in the product as well. All right, so you should really start thinking about DevOps as part of your automation journey. And obviously, it starts by the first step. So start small. Start with with one execution and go from there. Adapt your process to a CI/CD workflow. So maybe you start with a deployment. I'll be talking about how you can use workload automation to trigger, Ansible or Urban code, right? Maybe that's your first step. And then always look at continuous feedback on improvements. And then, don't forget to make security part of your DevOps. Once you get that up and running, you want to start thinking about that. So incorporating it into workload automation. So there's 3 areas I'm going to touch on here. Is using IWA to set up your environment. And I wasn't on in the earlier part of the call, but hopefully the automation hub was touched on, or most of you are familiar with it. Hopefully there's nods in the room. I can't see because you guys are like thumbnail size on my screen, but hopefully everybody knows about the automation hub.
Yes, we do, yes.
Excellent. Okay. So you know that there's these plugins available that you can use with IBM Workload Automation and integrate them in so that you can smoothly transition from to execute these third-party tools. The use of a workload application template, so you're able to export and import these into the various environments you have. And then this, I won't say necessarily falls under DevOps, but just governance. How to achieve better understanding of your workload automation. So I put together a few slides on that as well. So, okay, here's the automation hub. And so what I tried to do was pull out some of the plugins you can use for DevOps. So we have Ansible. We have Chef. Does anyone still run any Chef recipes? I feel like Chef was like a while ago, Chef and Puppet and the crew, but I'm not sure anyone's using that. And then we have Urban code integrations as well. Hopefully you're using one of these capabilities so you can get started right away. And if you're not, you should let us know if there's other DevOps tools that you're interested in. So let's kind of drill down, right? Ansible. If you're familiar with Ansible, right, you can execute any kind of infrastructure, whether it's the cloud or VM or servers to get those set up. And so what you're able to do with the plugin is you can schedule when to execute the playbook, and then you can monitor the process to gather information about the status and results. And so I think one of the things we're seeing is more line of business users starting to use automation tools. And so I think what you can do is set up a playbook that sets up the environment for them to execute it fairly quickly with one of these tools so that they can bring it up and tear it down, right? They can set up their development environment. They can set up their test environment. Obviously, you don't want them doing the production environment, but you can even use that for setting up pre-production environments, is to use these tools to really just set up the infrastructure they need to run their automation. And the same is for Urban code. So there's the Urban code plugin. So what this can do is it'll pull a job stream definition, and it will apply it to the appropriate environment, whether it's testing or pre-production or whatever that environment is. And there's the udeploy code, which will apply the properties of the definition. So I guess, allowing you to configure it per se. And so if you kind of look at it in more detail, I don't know if some of these diagrams are hard to read. Hopefully I can read it on my screen. Hopefully you'll be able to. So you can, download your job stream definition here onto your server, and then you can push it. And so it has the steps here for you deploy, like you do the cleanup to delete files and directories. You download the artifacts, you unzip them, and then you import them into your environment, and then you configure them to what you need, and then you can push them out to whether it's your QA or your production environment. And then, it does some more things, like it generates an audit track and other things. So that was some of the capabilities we have for setting up your infrastructure. So if, as part of your DevOps process, what you can do is you can run this job stream that sets up your infrastructure to actually execute the automation. So I'll pause there. Does that make sense to people?
A bunch of head nods, yes.
All right. Great. So the next part I want to talk about is the workload application template. And so this is the idea that you can deliver your consistency throughout the process into the various environments that you have in your DevOps pipeline. So I think we've all seen this chart before. You know, you got your standard figure 8 here where you plan and you code and then you build, whether this is really more for source code, but you test it, you release it, you deploy it, you operate it, you observe it. I think monitor has changed to observe, but the typical pipeline. We've also added in risk assessment. So as you're going through these various stages, you also want to understand the risk of what you're releasing to the various environments. So how does workload automation play in here? So there is, I'll say, 4 personas that we look at for this, right? You have your application developer who provide these jobs and job execution streams. They're the ones that, you know, it's the developer, right? You have the DevOps engineer. They're usually responsible for the pipeline. So they're the ones that actually could be doing the import and export of these application templates. You have the infrastructure engineer who manages the whole infrastructure of the different pieces of all the different environments and what needs to be in those environments. And then you have the production control operator, or whatever they're called, the SRE, that just monitors it. So here's how IWA plays in it. So you have the developer, they develop it, and what they can do is just export it into the workload application template. Once it's there, you can put it into source code repository, wherever you want to put it into. And then in the next step, you can pull it into the environment. So you pull it out from disk, from Git, wherever it is, and you import it. And then you can set up any changes that you need to, put it in the environment, and test with it. So once those 2 pieces have gone through the various staging before it gets to production, and then you put it into production, it's executed, optimized to run on workload automation, and you're monitoring it with your third-party observability tool. So pretty straightforward. The steps are pretty straightforward too, right? Here you're exporting the job streams. So right from the design menu, you can click your job stream. You can either download it right to disk, and it'll give you a zip file that I believe it's an XML. You can look at all the different pieces, or you can create new and select your workload application template, and then you just give it a name and you save it and you click the export button.
How many people here are using workload templates? I'm seeing a bunch of head shake no's. I'm just curious.
I was going to say, I hear crickets in the room.
But Pramesh raised his hand and said he is.
Oh, excellent. Pretty easy to do, right? Leon, I've seen you demo this like many times.
Yep.
It's pretty simple and straightforward. And so that's just exporting it. Once you have that.
Wait a second, Anita.
Yep.
Can you put like guardrails in those templates so that we talk about standardized templates, so that you don't want developers putting anything into those, so you want to have certain security standards and things that you need to be met by the end of it. So those templates could be.
Can you put guardrails into the templates? I will attempt to answer that for you. At this moment, no. I mean, yes, you can, but it's more along the line of having somebody monitor it versus having an automatic process to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, like in the true DevOps pipelines that we've got, like a change into tools that scan for security, tools that pitching for their code quality, and those things to have the same principles to apply with these things.
I don't see where that would be
Yeah, it'd be outside of workload scheduler.
it would be outside workload scheduler, but I don't see where it would be.
Except what all it does is, export or import the job description, or the object description. So it's you're applying templates on top of that to say, oh, this doesn't meet it, I can't import it, right? I can't use it. Right now, that's outside of workload scheduler, it doesn't provide that. What tools do you use to do that?
No, we're not using these at the moment. trying to think of it.
No, but other use it for the other DevOps processes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you use?
Yeah, well, we've got combinations of many different things, probably too many to the
Yeah.
some of them overlap, to be honest.
So the big problems are probably all the templates are zip files.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you store big question is how do you store those? Where do you store them? You export them and have all the separate files and then recreate the zip file, before you import it.
Yeah.
There's all those questions.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, there's more on the lines of if there's any policies you can.
Not today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish there was. Marco's right there. Tell him. Oh, Anita's right there too. He doesn't need her, Marco.
Yeah, the only challenge for me is it's hard to hear. So, but I'm sure Marco can capture it.
What was the question?
The question was
Basically, rules are templates so that the user always has to be defined, or something like that. So that
Workload application template has specific rules because of the way it was originally created.
right. But wonder if they created outside of workload.
So, for example, in tests you can use root, but in production you can't.
Right.
When you grab onto the template, what's going to prevent you from using root in prod?
Yeah, and when you import, there's no rule around
There's
it.
no rule around it. Is there a way that we could create that sometime, someplace, to put rules around the templates?
We need to define the strategy for the future about this because we have multiple interfaces, multiple tools, and the good thing would be, in my opinion, to have a kind of unique way to do it and where we can also add controls.
But if you think about it on the mainframe side, the equivalent to templates would be batch loader, batch loader in general. And there is on the mainframe side, there's an exit that will fire every time you update an application record with the program interface, and you can use that to make
checks, verification.
to see verifications in there. So if there was some way to insert a process into the distributed engine the same way.
I think we should define rules.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On the
You don't want to separate.
Also on DWC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should define rules and then enforce them when you save.
Yeah.
But that's a kind of separate feature that is in rule.
Yeah.
Because also here there is some API that is not documented that allow you to write some Java code and plug it to do that kind of stuff. So it will call before the save of each object in the database. But you need Java. You need to know what.
We would like to have a more easy to use feature where you can define rules that needs to be enforced when you save. That should be for both distributed and C.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm not sure I promise about that, but we should do it.
Yeah, it's a roadmap.
It's in roadmap,
Yeah, I just remember that when the mainframe users asked that same question years ago, you gave them the exit, so write it yourself.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there are many
used to do that. Well, we used to do that if I ask.
They used to be till all the assembler programmers retired.
Yeah, that's true.
So it sounds like other good discussion. I saw something go by in the chat. I can't really pull it up right now from Peter saying he was trying to use it and ran into some challenges. So it might be worthwhile, Peter, for us to talk to you afterwards to understand your challenges so we can see about trying to address them. Because I think this is going to become more important.
I talked to HCL on ASAP before COVID about it, and they wrote down some of my ideas, but it never got anywhere. So.
Okay.
But yeah, for what we are using our own tooling for, we can't do it in the work application template. It has some limitations that it just doesn't work for us.
Okay, so we can take a look at those and see.
Yeah, I also created an RFI for it and stuff, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also that one that is never picked up. So.
Okay, well, I can certainly take a look for it.
Okay.
All right, so that was exporting the existing job streams, and then importing is no different. So from the design window, you just you click import, and you can select the workload template that you want to use. And then you can start mapping them, right? So you have the original workstation here. You can map it to the new target workstation. Sorry, I tried to glue these two. These are two images, trying to glue them together here. But you can find and replace the job names. The actual form was much longer, so of the options, because you also have job streams down here, so that you can make changes to it on import for your new environment. And so, pretty straightforward there. And then, yeah, so that was the export and the import. Sorry, I was thinking there was another slide. Okay, so export, import, all right, governance. So the other piece, so that was kind of the DevOps side. So you're right, there's certainly lots of opportunity for advancements. The good part is that I think we're going to be going through the journey together as, you provide feedback to us on the things that you'd like to see for DevOps, and we can start looking at what we can do to improve it so that you can start thinking about taking your automations and putting them into the CI/CD pipeline. All right, governance. Governance is really important, right? You want to be able to look at control. So there was two areas that I wanted to talk to here. One was around the reporting and one was around the audit capability. I'm not sure, I just want to make sure everybody's aware of it, what's available to you, and how you can use it to, I'll say, put governance in place around your automation. So governance through auditing. So you are able to set up your auditing. You can understand who and what and why it changed. There's justifications that you can put in, and it doesn't matter. This will help the person who's the operator on it to understand what changes went in, the scheduler who implemented the changes in the model, and the administrator. And so here's the. I know these screen caps are sometimes hard to read, but it's meant to show you how you can insert the justifications. I think there's actually a better screen for it. I think it's coming up at the end, so let me wait till then. So how do you enable the audit feature? So to keep track of the changes in your environment, you can configure it, right? You're able to turn on the auditing of the information for the plan. You can enable the auditing for the information that's in the database, and then you can define how you want to store it, right? You can put it in the database, or you can put it on a file. So those are what's available to enable the auditing. This is the chart I was looking for. To enable the process, you can see there's the auditing preferences, right? You specify the engine, and then you can specify what or push what needs to be part of the audit. So, do you want the person to enable the justification? And are there categories required that the person needs to justify why they made the change? And is there a ticket required? And then the description. And so if we come down to the justification categories, because here we said the category is required, you can specify and create new categories or remove them or filter them, whatever you want to do, right? So you can specify it was a change request. That's why you made this change. There was a trouble ticket, emergency change, whatever it is. You can set up your own justification categories, and then you would, if the auditing is required, the user will need to pick one of these categories to specify what happened. And then adding the justification is pretty straightforward, right? You just pick the category, whatever that category list is that we saw on the previous page. There's a ticket number associated with it. So if you're using ServiceNow or some other ITSM tool, you can specify the ticket number and then the description for the change, and push that through. And then you can see what that justification looks like. There's also CLIs that are available to do them. So you can also do it that way as well. And here's the details. So you can create a report and take a look at the audit details of things that changed, who the user was, what happened, what the justification was, and any ticket number associated with it. So this gives you some governance to know what has changed on your automations. that have gone through. The second part is the reporting. Do people use the reporting?
No response here.
I'm just trying to see if everybody's awake over there. You guys had like a really good lunch, and it's just like nap time, right?
Yeah.
So,
Somebody does use the reporting.
Yes. Someone on the chat said yes.
all right. So there's all these reports that are available to you that gives you information about what's been run. So you can go into this new report information. You can select the report type that's available to you. You can pick one. The interesting one is you can have a custom SQL report. So I'll just show that on the next page. So these are available to you. And so on the left-hand side here, I have the types of reports that are available. So this one's a job statistic one. It's pretty boring because there's only 4 of them, and they were all successful. But if you have like hundreds, right? This will give you an idea of what was run, how many were in error. Gives you a nice pie graph, exception types, if it started late, the duration, and things like that. And then on the bottom right-hand side here, if you had chosen a custom SQL report, this will pop up, and then you can specify the SQL query. You can write it and put it in here and drive it through, and it'll give you a report for that as well. So in summary, just the DevOps and governance here, right? There's kind of, I think of it as 4 pillars of things we can look at, right? The infrastructure deployment, really setting up your environment. Once you have that first set of job execution to set up your environment, like using your Ansible or Urban Code to set that environment up, you can replicate it across installations, right? That's your kind of golden setup that you can reuse for all the different environments that you have. We have the workload application templates, right? Pretty straightforward to import and export them from and to environments. And even if you don't use the CI/CD pipeline per se, right, it's a pretty convenient way that if you're manually setting up your test environment or your pre-production environment, that you can just export the zip file and import it onto the new system and quickly set it up. So don't forget about auditing. So you can set up the auditing to be able to track the changes. If you want to get more granular about the changes you make, you can set up all the different categories to control or understand what are the changes going into the system, right? Are they changes going in for new feature capability, or is it changes because there were problems, right? If you get a lot of changes going because there's problems, like that's something you might want to look further into. And then use the reporting. Hopefully one of the reports that we have available is like standard that are in the menu you can use. If not, you can try to set up your own SQL custom query to get the information you need. And that's all I wanted to cover. Any questions?
I'm seeing head shakes no over here.
That one, sorry, again.
Yeah,
CI/CD pipeline thing and then DevOps other things. Are you working on any integrations with GitHub or Bitbucket that will assist us with?
Are we working on GitHub or Bitbucket integrations with workload automation? Marco.
Integration with GitHub?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the idea we are considering, but I'm not sure exactly.
Not like I'm looking at it. Yeah.
You can do something using the event rule.
Using the what?
The event rule. Because
Event rule.
Oh, the event rule.
yeah, because or also schedule a job that module and do the checkout from GitHub, okay? And if we see any difference, apply the definition using, for example, CLI. So we have done this kind of job string. So using the product, we were able to check out the definition from GitHub and apply the definition.
Would you like to integrate directly with GitHub? So is this a requirement?
not GitHub specifically,
But
Any kind of tool like that.
Any sorts of code management tool.
usually this kind of stuff are integrated using the webhooks. So that's the missing piece. So because if you have a webhook interface, you can point to the master, okay, from your instance, and start a job that do whatever you want, okay. But currently we don't have.
But certainly it's a requirement we can consider.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. If there's no other questions about that, I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of this automation community. I'm trying to drop the link into chat. So there is a workload automation and workload scheduler community that we've set up in the last, I guess, month or 6 weeks. And what we're trying to do is use that for a number of different things, right? You can see that there's been some discussions that have been gone on. So people are welcome to create discussions. It's a way of crowdsourcing, like, hey, have you done this? Or I'm having problems doing this, right? It's a way of going through the crowd to find out information on how to do things, hopefully quickly. The other thing is there's blogs that we're starting to post. So Leon posted one about AI and machine learning. I posted one. There's files, so we'll start posting different like this DevOps presentation will likely end up here, and various presentations will end up here. And then there's also upcoming events. We're working with the ASAP team I know that they're starting to look at doing, I believe it's monthly webinars, and we're trying to interlock with them on the different webinars. So between all of us, we are constantly telling you new information. So you can join a webinar, ideally bi-weekly to find out new things that are coming up. So there's one coming up about installation tips and tricks. So if you want to move up to 10.2, but it doesn't have to be 10.2, but if you're looking for installation tips and tricks, Tracy Little will be doing that. We're trying to schedule Sajad to do another discussion on certificates, because that's always a hot topic. So this is where you would come and find out information for them, and then you can just go over to the events tab. And
Anita.
Yep.
Anita, I also add, support is looking to do their own.
Right. Right. And so we would add those here.
That's getting a lot of cases on. And
yeah.
what they're running to and how to fix them. So they're going to hopefully post them here and do it. So
exactly. So join the community is what I'm suggesting. You can join the community, and this is just a good link to information. If you're looking how to do something or what's new or what's come up, or we'll look at posting all the user group meetings here. I know there's the user group tab here as well, where this user group actually is available. So we'll be cross-linking the two as well. But yeah, so if you aren't a member yet, please sign up and use the site, and feel free to post things out there. Right? This doesn't all have to be from either our team here. It can be from you as well.
Anything else, Anita?
Not for me. Thank you.
Any other questions for Anita?
Right. We seem to have finished a little early. So the link that you posted in the chat, Anita, we'll send out on email.
Perfect.
To as well.
Yeah, and I just put the ASAP one in there as well.
Yes, we can do that one as well. I think most people here will be part of ASAP already. At least, well, yeah, you're new to it, so no, you won't. But yeah, we'll send those links out to everyone so that everyone's got it.
Okay. Does anyone want to have any topic or question they'd like to bring up today? You all want to go home, don't you? Yeah. Okay. What will happen now is that all the presenters send their presentations to Claire,